The discovery. The sterile hum of the Galactic Medical Center filled the empty halls as Nurse Mara finished her rounds. The soft glow of overhead lights cast long shadows, and the distant beeping of life monitors gave her a sense of routine stability. But tonight, something felt different. She had worked the night shift for years, tending to humans and aliens alike, patching up wounds from bar fights, space mining accidents, and the occasional high-speed hover chase gone wrong. It was a life of purpose, but purpose didn't pay the bills. Mara exhaled as she leaned against the nurse's station, rubbing her tired eyes. Her contract renewal had been delayed for months, and rumors swirled about budget cuts and layoffs. She wasn't naive. If cuts came, those who bent the rules would be first to go. And she had a habit of bending those rules when it came to saving lives. A soft whimper broke through her thoughts. Mara froze. The sound was faint, barely noticeable over the facility's quiet hum. Her heart quickened as she scanned the dim corridor, searching for the source. Another whimper, weak, pained. Her hands instinctively reached for her med kit as she followed the sound down a side hallway leading to the restricted waste disposal area. Her stomach twisted. No patients should be back here. No one should. Her breath caught when she saw it, a small, trembling figure curled against the cold metal floor, barely more than a lump of silver-white fur. A pup. Mara's heart clenched. It wasn't just any pup, it was an alien wolf pup, a species known as Vuren, rumored to be incredibly intelligent yet rarely seen in medical facilities. Even in the dim light, she could see its frail body, the way its tiny ribs protruded, the unnatural shuddering of its breathing. It was sick. Dying. And someone had dumped it here. She swallowed hard, kneeling beside it. "Hey there, little one," she whispered. The pup didn't move at first, but then its ears twitched. Slowly, its dull golden eyes cracked open, a silent plea, a desperate hope. Mara knew the rules. Unregistered alien species were to be reported, not treated. The medical center didn't waste resources on creatures they weren't authorized to care for. It was cruel, but it was protocol. Her fingers hovered over her emergency communicator. She should call it in, let security handle it, let the system decide. But then the pup let out the softest, weakest cry, a sound so fragile, so desperate, that it sliced straight through her chest. Mara took a slow breath. Then she made her choice. She scooped up the trembling creature and vanished into the dark. The healing. Mara moved quickly through the back corridors, her pulse pounding as she carried the dying pup. If she got caught, her career would be over. But none of that mattered now. She slipped into an unused exam room, locking the door behind her before placing the pup gently on the sterile table. It barely reacted, its body limp and weak, its fur damp with fever sweat. Her medical instincts took over. She grabbed a scanner and ran it over the tiny form, watching data stream across the display. Heart rate unstable. Oxygen levels critically low. Fever climbing to 106.4 degrees. Her stomach tightened. It wouldn't last much longer. Grabbing a vial of antipyretics, she carefully adjusted the dosage. Too much could shut down its system, too little wouldn't help. She prepped the injection with steady hands despite the tension in her chest. "This might sting, little guy," she murmured, pressing the needle into its thin skin. The pup let out the faintest whimper but didn't resist. It was too weak to fight. She worked quickly, checking hydration levels and setting up a fluid line to restore electrolytes. Next, she grabbed a damp cloth and gently pressed it to the pup's forehead, cooling its fevered body. Minutes passed, then an hour. She stayed, watching and waiting. Finally, she felt the smallest change. The pup's trembling lessened. Its breathing grew steadier. The burning fever began to fade. "You're going to make it," she whispered. The tiny creature stirred, its golden eyes fluttering open, clearer this time. For the first time, it looked at her not just with pain, but with recognition. A connection formed in that moment, something silent and unbreakable. Then came the knock. Mara froze. The door lock beeped, someone was overriding the access code. Panic shot through her veins as the door slid open. Standing there, face cold as stone, was Chief Administrator Drina. Mara's stomach dropped. Her fate was sealed. The consequence. The silence was suffocating. Mara stood frozen, her hand still resting on the small form of the alien wolf pup. Chief Administrator Drina's sharp features were cast in shadow by the flickering monitors, making the moment feel heavier than it already was. Drina stepped forward, her heels clicking against the sterile floor. The door slid shut behind her, sealing them inside. "I would ask if I should be surprised," she said coolly, "but that would be a waste of breath, wouldn't it?" Mara's pulse thundered, but she kept her voice steady. "It was dying." Drina exhaled through her nose as if she'd expected this answer. "That is not your decision to make, Nurse Mara. You know the regulations. The regulations that say we should let a living creature suffer." Mara gestured at the pup, still weak but no longer burning with fever. "I don't care what species it is, I wasn't going to watch it die." Drina's gaze flickered to the pup, her lips pressing into a thin line. She wasn't heartless, Mara knew, but she was a woman of unwavering adherence to protocol. "You've put me in a difficult position," she said finally. Mara's throat tightened. "You don't have to report this. No one else knows. I'll take it off station myself, make sure it gets somewhere safe." "It's already been reported." The words hit like a blow to the chest. Mara's hands curled into fists, anger flickering beneath her panic. "By who?" "Security cameras don't lie." Drina folded her arms. "And neither does your record. You've always had a problem with bending the rules. This was simply the final straw." Mara opened her mouth, but no words came. It didn't matter if she argued. It didn't matter that the pup was alive now, breathing, recovering. The system didn't care. Drina's voice softened slightly. "You're an excellent nurse, one of the best we've had. But you made your choice, and you knew what the consequences would be." Mara swallowed hard. "You're dismissing me." Drina gave a small, almost regretful nod. "Effective immediately. Security will escort you out within the hour. You're forbidden from taking anything from the facility." Her eyes moved to the pup. "Including that. What will happen to it?" Mara's voice cracked. "Standard protocol. It will be studied, then disposed of according to galactic health regulations." The words hit Mara like ice water. All of this, her career, her sacrifice, and the pup would die anyway. But as she looked down at the small creature, now breathing peacefully, she realized something. For these few hours, it had lived without pain. It had felt kindness. Sometimes, that was enough. "I understand," she whispered. As security arrived to escort her out, Mara took one last look at the golden eyes watching her. The pup seemed to understand too, and in that gaze, she saw something that looked almost like gratitude. The unexpected visitor. 3 weeks had passed since Mara lost everything. Her small apartment on the outer rim of the space station felt more like a prison cell with each passing day. Job applications were rejected before she could even explain her situation. Word traveled fast in the galactic medical community. She sat at her tiny kitchen table, staring at another rejection letter on her data pad, when the door chime rang. Mara frowned. She wasn't expecting anyone. She had no friends left, no colleagues who dared associate with her. The chime rang again, more insistent this time. Dragging herself to the door, she activated the view screen and nearly stumbled backward. Standing in her hallway were 2 figures in elaborate robes, clearly not from this station. Their clothing shimmered with an otherworldly quality, and their bearing suggested importance far beyond anything she'd ever encountered. "Mara Chen." The taller figure spoke, his voice carrying an accent she couldn't place. "Yes," she answered through the intercom, her heart racing. "We need to speak with you. It's about the Vuren pup you saved." Her blood turned to ice. Had they come to arrest her? To prosecute her further for breaking galactic law? With trembling fingers, she opened the door. The two beings entered gracefully. Up close, she could see they were humanoid but clearly not human. Their skin had a subtle luminescence, and their eyes held depths that seemed ancient. The shorter of the two carried a small, ornate chest. "Please, sit," the taller one said gently, though it was her own apartment. "My name is Ambassador Kale. This is Ambassador Vera. We represent the Vuren sovereignty." Mara's legs felt weak. She sank into her chair. I don't understand." The pup was just. "Not just anything," Ambassador Vera interrupted softly. "What you saved, Mara Chen, was Prince Lyrics of the Vuren royal house. The youngest son of King Valdris himself." The words seemed to echo in the small room. Mara stared at them, certain she'd misheard. "That's impossible. It was just a sick pup in the waste disposal area. Someone had thrown it away like garbage." Kale's expression darkened. "Prince Lyrics was kidnapped during a diplomatic mission. His captors, when they realized the galactic authorities were closing in, panicked and abandoned him at your medical facility, hoping he would die and eliminate the evidence of their crime. But you saved him," Vera added, opening the ornate chest. Inside, nestled in what looked like starlight-woven fabric, was the same golden-eyed pup, but now healthy, alert, and somehow, different. Regal. The pup, Prince Lyrics, looked directly at Mara and made a soft sound that seemed almost like recognition. "The king wishes to meet the one who risked everything to save his son," Kale continued. "Despite having every reason to follow protocol, you chose compassion. You chose to save a life, even at the cost of your own future." Mara felt tears prick her eyes. "I lost my job. My career. Everything. And gained the eternal gratitude of the most powerful ruler in 3 galaxies," Vera said with a small smile. "King Valdris does not forget those who show mercy to his family." Ambassador Kale stood. "He wishes to offer you a choice, Mara Chen. But first, he must meet you in person. Will you come with us?" The royal reward. The royal transport was unlike anything Mara had ever seen. It glided silently through space, its hull seeming to bend starlight around it. Through the viewing ports, she watched as they approached what could only be described as a floating palace, a massive structure that seemed to be carved from a single, luminous crystal. "The heart of Vuren," Ambassador Kale explained, noticing her awe. "King Valdris's flagship and mobile throne room." As they docked, Mara's nervousness threatened to overwhelm her. She was about to meet an alien king, one of the most powerful beings in known space, wearing her best clothes, which suddenly felt shabby and inadequate. The throne room took her breath away. Crystalline walls rose impossibly high, filled with swirling lights like captured aurora. And there, on a throne that seemed to be made of concentrated starlight, sat King Valdris. He was magnificent and terrifying, larger than his ambassadors, with the same luminous skin but marked by intricate patterns that seemed to shift and flow. His eyes, ancient and wise, fixed on Mara as she approached. Beside the throne, on a smaller seat of his own, sat Prince Lyrics, no longer the dying pup she'd found, but clearly still young, his golden eyes bright with intelligence and recognition. "Approach, Mara Chen," the king's voice resonated through the chamber without seeming loud. Mara walked forward on unsteady legs, unsure of the proper protocol. Should she bow? Kneel? When she was a few feet away, Prince Lyrics made a small sound and bounded down from his seat, approaching her with tail wagging, a gesture so familiar and innocent that Mara couldn't help but smile and kneel to greet him. "He remembers your kindness," King Valdris said, and there was warmth in his voice now. "In our darkest hour, when my son lay dying, abandoned and alone, you chose mercy over rules. You chose his life over your career." Mara looked up, still gently petting Lyrics. I couldn't just let him die, Your Majesty. I couldn't live with myself if I'd walked away. And that, the king said, rising from his throne, is precisely why you are here. He descended the steps, and Mara was surprised to see that despite his imposing presence, his expression was gentle. The galaxy is full of those who follow rules blindly, who choose safety over compassion. But rare, incredibly rare, are those who choose to do what is right, regardless of the cost. He gestured, and Ambassador Vera stepped forward with an ornate scroll. I offer you a choice, Mara Chen. First, I can restore everything you lost, your position, your reputation, your career. I can ensure you never want for anything, working in the finest medical facilities in any galaxy you choose. Mara's heart leaped. Everything she'd lost, handed back to her. Or, the king continued, you can accept a different path. Become the chief medical officer of the Vuran sovereignty. You would travel the galaxies with my fleet, healing not just my people, but any who need help, regardless of species, status, or ability to pay. You would have resources beyond imagining, the authority to save lives without bureaucratic interference, and the protection of the royal house. Mara stared at him, hardly believing what she was hearing. But know this, King Valdris added seriously. The second path is not easier. It would mean leaving everything familiar behind, living among my people, adapting to our ways. It would mean sometimes making hard choices, sometimes standing alone against those who would prioritize politics over lives. Mara looked down at Prince Lyrics, who gazed up at her with those intelligent golden eyes. Then she looked around the magnificent throne room, thinking of all the beings throughout the galaxies who might need help, who might be suffering while bureaucracies debated and protocols delayed. Your Majesty, she said, her voice growing stronger, I didn't save your son because I expected a reward. I saved him because it was the right thing to do. She paused, meeting the king's ancient gaze. If you're offering me the chance to keep doing the right thing, to save lives without fear of consequences, then that's not really a choice at all. King Valdris smiled, the first time she'd seen him do so. Then welcome to the Vuran sovereignty, Chief Medical Officer Chen. May your compassion light the way for countless others. As the ceremony concluded and Mara was sworn into her new role, Prince Lyric settled beside her, and she realized that sometimes losing everything was just the universe's way of preparing you for something far better. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness could change not just one life, but an entire destiny. The end.